Good morning, children. Today I'll teach you about the different types of solutions. Okay, so we'll see in mixture, as we have studied, that mixture are of two types, homogeneous and heterogeneous. So we are going to study about the different types of solutions here, that is about true solutions, suspension and colloidal solutions. Now see children, we have already seen that mixture is divided into two types of, that is homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. Okay, so homogeneous means where the whole solution looks uniform. Okay, there is no difference. We cannot make out the difference. For example, sugar solution and salt solution. In heterogeneous mixture, you can see the mixture can be easily be identified. We can make out the difference as it is shown here. Let us see the definition of homogeneous mixture. A homogeneous mixture is one that contains only one type of a compound or element. Okay, a homogeneous mixture is one that contains only one type of a compound or element. Now, a heterogeneous mixture is made up of different substances that remain physically separate. Okay, a heterogeneous mixture is made up of different substances that remain physically separate. Okay, children. Okay, now we'll see the definition of solutions. What are solutions? Solutions are homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. Okay, and a solution is made up of two components, namely the solute and the solvent. Okay, now here, so the homogeneous mixture means where the two or more substances are uniformly mixed and it looks like a single entity. Okay, a solution is made up of two components, namely the solute and the solvent. That is how the solvent, the solute is being dissolved. Okay, so here let us clearly understand what does exactly a solution means. Now, a solute is a substance dissolved in another substance known as a solvent. Okay, and a solvent is always present in a larger quantity than the solute. So the one which we added is the solute and this was the solvent. Okay, solvent is always in larger quantity. Okay, children. Now solutions can be in three forms: solid, liquid and gases. So we can see three types of solutions. Now, a true solution is always a homogeneous in nature. Okay, just remember it. A true solution is always homogeneous in nature. As I told you previously, that a solute is added in solvent and solvent is always in a larger quantity compared to solute. For example, if you are making a lemonade, okay, nimbu pani, what you say. So what you take in more content? Water. Okay, so water is a solvent and in that you are adding the sugar, the lemon juice. So this is how you are making a homogeneous mixture. Okay, sugar and lemonade which you take is always in very less quantity. So they are solute which is added in solvent, and such type of solutions are called as what? True solution. Now the properties of the solutions. Okay, the first property states that the particle of a solution cannot be seen by the naked eyes, as the particles are very less, yes, the smaller in size, okay, are less than 1 nanometer. Okay, that is the size of the particles in a true solution is always less than 1 nanometer. See in the, for example, in sugar solution or salt solution, once it is dissolved, can you see the particles of the sugar? Okay, can you see the particles of the salt? It's not possible. We cannot see. It looks like water only unless you taste it. If you will taste, then only we'll find out that the sugar is added in that water or salt is added in that water. Okay, because the particles are very, very small in size, that is less than 1 nanometer. And 1 nanometer is 1 minus 9 meter. Okay, just remember it. 1 nanometer means how much? 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Okay, children. Now, the second property states that the particles of a solution do not scatter a beam of light. Hence, the path of light is not visible in a solution. Okay, children? So, if you take a sugar solution or a salt solution and bring a torch and flash the light, so you will see that the scattering of light is not possible. Okay, hence you cannot see any path of light is not visible in that solution, since the particles are very small. Just now we have studied that it is less than 1 nanometer, so they cannot scatter the light, and that's why the path of light is not visible. Oh, here you can see how the light is being flashed and there is no light visible. Okay, now the solute particles in a solution cannot be separated from the solution by physical means. That is, suppose if you have taken a sugar solution or a salt solution and you want to filter it. Okay, so when you filter, what will happen? Is the sugar separated from that? No, it cannot be separated. All that solution will just pass out from it. Okay, from that filter paper. Suppose you take a filter paper and try to just pour that solution in that filter paper, then taking another vessel, and what will happen there? So all that solution will pass. At your home also you can do. You have a filter and take a glass, keep it beneath the filter there and pour the sugar solution in it. So will the sugar particles separated out? No. So by simple physical means, the solute particles cannot be separated. Okay, so sorry, they can be so children, very clearly the solute particle solution cannot be separated from the solution by physical means, that is by filtration. You cannot separate the solute particles. Okay, now here you can see when you add the salt, the particles of the salt will not settle down if a solution is kept undisturbed for a while. So when you are adding the salt and when you try to dissolve it, okay, stir it and dissolve it, so all that salt particles will get dissolved in that water. Okay, water is a solvent and salt is the solute particles. So what will happen there? These particles just keep that beaker like that. So what you see is that the particles of the salt is not visible settling it down. Okay, so here true solutions are quite stable. Okay, true solutions are stable. Okay, why do we call it as stable here? Because the particles are not settling down. So that's why true solutions are said to be stable. All the particles are so small that they easily get dissolved and they uniformly get distributed in the whole solvent. Okay, they have intercellular spaces and these particles are so small that they can easily take the empty spaces. They occupy the empty spaces. Okay, intercellular spaces. So here the particles do not settle down if a solution is kept undisturbed for a while. They are quite stable. Now let us understand the concept of what do you mean by concentration of solutions. Okay, now we know that when you add a solute in a solvent, when both of this mix together, it is called as a solution. Okay, so here you can see sucrose. Sucrose is nothing but the sugar particle, which is a solute, and this solute, the sugar particle has been added. The sugar has been added in the water. Water is a solvent. So what is the definition of concentration? Okay, so how much amount of whatever amount of sugar has been added, how to calculate the concentration? So concentration is nothing but solute by solvent. The formula of concentration is solute by solvent. So let us understand the definition of a concentration of a solution. The concentration of a solution is the known quantity of a solute, okay, whose quantity you have measured. The known quantity in a known quantity of a solvent. Sorry children, there is a spelling mistake here. In a known quantity of a solvent. Okay, So the amount of solvent which you have taken and the amount of solute which you have taken, so both their quantity you know about it. So the concentrated solution can be expressed in two ways. So we have two ways of expressing the concentration. So just now we have seen the formula, solute by solvent, whatever quantity of solute you have taken divided by solvent, and there are two ways to express the concentration of a solution, the two methods to solve it. Let us see the formula. Now percentage concentration, okay, that is weight based method. So here the small w means gram of solute, okay, small w means gram of solute upon which is dissolved in capital W, which means gram of solution, okay. So amount of solute by total amount of the solution into 100. And in this weight based method, the weight of the known solute dissolved in known weight of solvent is expressed. Okay, this is how we calculate. In weight based method, the weight of the known solute dissolved in known weight of solvent is being expressed. This is a formula. Small w is nothing but weight, that is the gram of solute, and capital W is the gram of solution into 100. Okay, the next method is based on volume base. Let us see what is volume based method. See, the next method of percentage concentration is volume based method. So small w by capital V into 100. So again small w is nothing but gram of solute which is dissolved in V, that is milliliters of solution. So if the solution, okay, is being made by adding the see, we have seen in the beginning solution can be solid, liquid or gaseous. So if the solution is liquid base or gaseous base, then we use this method of volume based method. But if the solution is solid base, then we use the previous formula, okay. So this method is used for gaseous and the liquid solutions. So V is milliliters of solution. So in volume based method, the known volume of the solute, okay, dissolved in known volume of the solvent is expressed. Okay children, in volume based method, the known volume of the solute dissolved in known volume of the solvent is expressed. There are two types of solution, saturated and unsaturated. A solution that cannot dissolve any more solute at a certain temperature is called a saturated solution, okay. So at any temperature when no more amount of sugar can be added, that is called as saturated solution. Now unsaturated solution, a solution that can dissolve more solute at a certain temperature is called as an unsaturated solution, okay. A solution that can dissolve more solute at a certain temperature is called as an unsaturated solution. Amount of solute present in a saturated solution at a certain temperature is called as solubility at that temperature, okay. The amount of solute present in a saturated solution at a certain temperature is called its solubility at that temperature. Now we will study about suspensions and colloidals, okay. Now children, suspensions are heterogeneous mixture in which the particles of two solute do not dissolve but remain floating everywhere in the medium, okay. So again I'll repeat, suspensions are heterogeneous mixtures in which the particles of two solute do not dissolve but remain floating everywhere in the medium. For example, if you are dissolving chalk powder in water, okay, so all the chalk powder will remain suspended in that water, it will not dissolve in it. And just if you keep that beaker like that, afterwards you will see all the chalk particles will start settling down. Similarly the sand and water. So you take sand and try to dissolve it in water. So what will happen, all the particles of sand remain suspended in it, okay, and after some time all that sand particles will start dissolving, settling down, okay. You will see that if you keep that beaker undisturbed, all the sand particles will start settling down. Now here you can see that we have taken the sand in the water, okay. So they remain for some time they remain suspended in water, but after some time you will see all that sand particles will start settling down at the bottom. So they are unstable, they cannot remain in the solvent, as we have seen in the sugar solution and the salt solution, true solutions. where the whole mixture was a homogeneous mixture, but here it is called heterogeneous because clearly you can see the difference in the mixture. You can clearly see with your naked eyes the particles, where in the true solution it was not possible to see, okay, where you cannot see it. Salt solution and sugar solution, you are not able to see the particles with your naked eyes, but here easily you can see the particles with the help of your naked eyes, and there is a separation. All these particles are quite big in size, so very clearly we come to know the size of these particles are very large, okay, and because of that clearly it is seen with the help of the naked eyes. You can see all the particles settle down, and also it can be easily be separated by simple physical method like filtration. Take a filter paper, take a conical flask, keep a filter paper in that and fix it on a beaker and pour this solution. So the water will get separated, the solvent will get separated, and the solute particles will remain on the filter paper. The sand particles remain on the filter paper, okay. So very clearly we can see that the suspended, so this type of solution, okay, this type of mixture is called as what? Suspension. What is it called as? Suspension, children, okay. So this type of mixture is known as suspension. Now these are the properties of suspension. Suspensions are which type of mixture? Heterogeneous, okay, they are heterogeneous in nature. And just now I have explained you that suspended particles can be seen by the naked eye. And unlike the particles of a true solution, the suspended particles scatter the light passing through them. So I'll explain you how does the suspended particles scatter the light passing through them. Then the solute particles settle down when left undisturbed. Okay, just now we have seen how the sand particles have settled down. The solute particles settle down when left undisturbed. So they are unstable. So which suspensions are what? Unstable. Why? Because the particles can settle down when left undisturbed. Then the component particles can be separated by filtration. By simple physical means they can be separated. Just now I explain you. The component particles can be separated by filtration very easily. Okay children, so these are the properties of suspension. Now here you can see water with the sand. Here copper sulfate is taken and mixed in water, and this is the milk. Okay, so let us see. So these are three types of solutions. Now what you are doing, we are filtering the sand solution, okay, and here the another beaker we are taking the aqueous copper sulfate. So this also we will filter it out. The copper sulfate is also poured and we will also filter it out. Okay, so what happens here? In copper sulfate all that filtrate will come out. There is no residue left. There is no filtrate left on the filter paper. So which type of solution children? It is a true solution. Okay, and now here milk. So when you add milk, milk also will pass through the filter paper. Okay, it will also pass through the filter paper. There is no residue left. So this, what are these three solutions now? So now here you can see, as I told you, that this was the sand with and water. Okay, so it is which type of solution in these three solutions? So here this was copper sulfate. Copper sulfate is a blue vitriol, okay, which is added in water. And when you filter it out all these three solutions, we have seen that the copper sulfate, the aqueous solution of copper sulfate and the milk, they filtered out through the filter paper. Okay, whereas the sand particles were easily separated out. You can see the sand particles remain on the filter paper. So clearly you can understand that this solution, the sand and water, is which type of solution? Suspended solution. Now children, you can see that when we poured the copper sulfate, aqueous copper sulfate solution milk, both of it passed through the filter paper. Okay, so what is the difference now here? Now since, okay, so here actually this copper sulfate is a true solution. Okay, the first solution which you have learned, the true solution, and milk is known as a colloidal solution. Now what is the difference between colloidal solution and, okay, the true solution here? How can we identify both of these? Now for today what we learned is about the properties of true solution and the suspended solution. Okay, so let me first explain you these properties of the true solutions and suspended solution. I've already explained you, okay, the properties of true solution and the suspended solution. We have seen that the particles in true solutions are very small. They are less than 1 nanometer, whereas the particles in suspended solution, they are quite big. They are more than 100 nanometer. They're quite large, okay, and that's why we can see it with naked eyes. But in true solution it cannot be seen, and the particles in a true solution cannot settle down. Can you see any copper sulfate settling down? No, it will not settle down. They are quite stable, whereas in the sand solution the particles settle down, okay, they are unstable. And filtration, by simple physical means, they can be separated. Solute particles in a suspended solution can be easily be separated. The sand particles can be separated by filtration, whereas here in copper sulfate solution you are seeing they cannot be separated by simple physical means like filtration. Okay, now coming to the scattering of light, when you pass the path, when you just flash the light on this copper sulfate, you will see that the scattering of light is not visible, whereas in the sand particles the scattering of light can be visible. Let us see how it is visible. Because the particles are quite big, they help in the scattering of light. This scattering of light, I'll explain you in my next video how the particles help in the scattering of light. Okay. Now, colloids. Colloids are heterogeneous mixture where fine particles are dispersed within a continuous medium which prevent them from settling down or being filtered. Okay, so what are colloids? Colloids are which type of mixture? Heterogeneous, where very fine particles are dispersed. Okay, very fine particles, their particles are very small, which are being dispersed within a continuous medium and which prevent them from settling down or being filtered. For example, milk. Okay, let us see what are the particles which are dispersed in the milk. Okay, so let us understand the concept of colloids. The particle source of colloid is an intermediate between true solution and suspended solution. Means the size of the particle colloid is between the true solution and suspended solution. Just now I explain you, true solution particles are less than 1 nanometer and suspended they are quite big. They are more than 100 nanometer. And between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer, the size of the colloidal will remain. Okay, it is between these two solution. Colloidal solution is the particle size of colloidal solution is between true solution and suspended solution. Example, milk, foam, cheese, all these are examples of colloidal solution. Okay, milk, foam and cheese. Now children, a colloidal system is made up of disperse phase and the dispersion medium. Okay, there are two types of phases in a colloidal solution. One is called as a disperse phase, another is called as a dispersion medium. For example, if you are taking a milk and you may find that milk look exactly a homogeneous mixture, then why we are calling it as a heterogeneous mixture? Okay, when you look at milk, you look that the whole milk is look like a same single entity. But why we are calling it as heterogeneous mixture? Because in milk, see, when you boil the milk, what happens when you boil it? You get a cream layer at the top. Okay, so that is a fat content is separated out very clearly. So like that, there are many fine particles which are called as a disperse phase, and where they are dispersed, in which medium they are dispersed? In the water. The more content of solvent which is present in the milk is what? Water only. So all these fat particles, what is present in the milk? The fat particles. Okay, and these fat particles are called as what? Disperse phase. And where they have been present? In the dispersion medium. So a colloidal system is made up of disperse phase and the dispersion medium. So in a colloidal system, the very fine particles, what are they called as? Disperse phase, which are dispersed in another substance, in which another substance they are dispersed, that is called as a dispersion medium. So you can children, conclude that the milk contains a very fine particles of fat which has been dispersed in which medium? That is the water. Okay, so that's why it is called a heterogeneous mixture. We cannot see that particles because they are quite small. Okay, between, just now I told you, the size of the particles come between true solutions and the suspended solutions. So they are also cannot be seen. They are fine. They are so small that they cannot settle down. So here colloidal particles are also quite unstable. We cannot see fat particles are settling down. Okay, and they even by filtration they can easily pass. Just now we are seeing that even by filtration, when you filter the milk, what will happen? Do you find any fat particles settling on the filter paper? No. All that milk solution will get easily be separated out by filtration. Okay. Now, these are the properties of colloidal solution. Colloidals are heterogeneous in nature. Okay, the solute particles of colloidals are bigger in size than the particles of a true solution, but they are smaller than the solute particles of a suspended solution. Okay, again I'll read. The solute particles of colloids are bigger in size than the particles of true solution, but they are smaller than the solute particles of a suspended solution. The third point, the solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. Just I will explain you. If you take a milk, will you see all the particles of milk settling down? No, it will not settle down. So they are quite unstable. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. Next, the particles of colloid are big enough to scatter the beam of light passing through them. They exhibit the Tyndall effect. Now this, as I told you, this portion of scattering of light in all the three solutions, I'll explain you in my next video. Okay children? So this property I'm just leaving it now. In my next video I'll explain clearly the scattering of light. So the particles of colloid are big enough to scatter the beam of light passing through them. That is, they exhibit the Tyndall effect. And next, the last property is the component particles cannot be separated physical method like filtration, but only by centrifugation technique. So this also explain you in my next video what do you mean by centrifugation technique. By simple filtration means they cannot be separated out. Okay, so you cannot separate by simple physical means of filtration the particles present. Only by technique called as centrifugation it can be separated. Okay, this also explain you what do you mean by centrifugation method. So I hope children you have understood the properties of the true solution, suspended solution and the colloidal solution. So in my next video also I will stretch more on these three. Okay, so we'll see how the scattering of light will take place in our next video, and still I'll explain you in more detail still about the true solution, that is the suspended solution and the colloidal solution. Okay children, so bye, thank you.